It's been a long time. I'ma be honest.
Okay. Hi, I'm Carmen, and I'm one half of Maximize Good, and we're so happy to be with you on the blog.
And I'm Nora, and I'm another half of Maximize Good, and we are so grateful that you joined us. We are big video watchers of the YouTube, and so we're excited for this new opportunity to participate.
Yep, so let's talk about what's happening. So let's talk a bit about Mike Brown.
Yeah, but
So the verdict came out, and no one in our community was really happy about it, but lots of people were also not shocked or surprised.
Yeah.
How did you take it?
I took it as an invitation to continue to have conversations with other white folks. I think that when you looked at like any of the stats for interviews with people about kind of like how the verdict was sounded with people, there was like such a ridiculous disparity between people of African descent and people of European descent in the United States. Like almost opposite numbers for like the verdict was fair or like the verdict was unjust. And so, yeah, it was, I mean, personally really infuriating, and then like felt like kind of just an invitation to continue to have conversations with people about how this fits into so many larger patterns of violence against people of African descent, and specifically people who have other marginalized identities also, because I think that a lot of people have been interrogating why this has garnered so much frustration and so much action. And I think that I'm grateful for people that have the whole time been saying this is not a unique incident. Like, we have to talk about trans women of color who are like, you know, being killed and like not being talked about in the same way. And so, I don't know. I think that it's a really interesting time to be alive and be someone who's interested in talking about these issues. And I think that our peers have been taking action, and I am interested in talking about like the way that rallies show up in this current political situation. I saw a really powerful post from some folks, I think that it was in Toronto, that had done a solidarity march, and it was like tips for white people that want to attend these rallies. And it was about like the reason why you're here is to like affirm and stand in solidarity with Black people. Mm-hmm. That is why you're here. So don't center your narrative, whether that's taking the mic, whether that's where you're standing. Be very intentional about the way that you're engaging with the people at the rally as well as the police, and know the privilege that you have if police do engage in any way. And I was really grateful to see those parameters, because I think that for white folks, our default when we feel called around something, even if it's for the best, you know, heart, we definitely insert ourselves in ways that make it about us. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that at the rallies that I've been to. And so, yeah, I think that there are some great learnings coming out of this, but I'm more hopeful about the way that this will like transform the world because of the like youth-led organizing that's happening.
Yeah, I really am excited that people are getting on one accord about things. I mean, I just can't stress that enough. When I left college, it felt like there were big segments and big variations in the way people saw themselves that maybe were all of African descent, but were from different cities or from different economic classes, and they didn't see like the unity for these tragedies. Make it very clear that like, oh yeah, you could be on your way to college and still get killed and left in the street for 4 hours. So for me, even though it's really tragic, I'm hoping that it's building momentum, because there have been so many deaths and so many people have been, you know, really eloquent about the way that they say these things happen so often now that you can expect to see the same people every time you attend a rally. So I feel like maybe that is stirring up some unity where there was none. I think that moving into President Obama his speech, I was surprised to see so many people in my Facebook timeline, which is not, indicative of the whole world or the whole nation or even all black people.
World, yeah.
Yeah, people were uniformly really pissed that he had those comments, and that made me feel great.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter who is in office, we need to have some kind of standard for what we show up for.
Yeah.
And him being brown has shielded him from so much critique.
Mm.
And now it's not. And I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that people feel free to critique him in a way which in 2008 no one was willing to critique him really. And everyone that did it was kind of just written off as a hater.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Smiley, rest in peace. Rest in peace, you're still alive, but your career just never came back.
A lot more positive to it. But I think that extends to like self-proclaimed progressives of many identities, because I feel like white folks, one place that we definitely don't show up in the way that we need to and that we can is around like providing constructive feedback to people who are people of color, because we think that means that we're racist.
Yes.
And it's like, no, President Obama has been very problematic on a lot of things. And that's okay to say.
Yeah.
And that does not mean that that is not indicative of an assertion based on his race. He happens to be a person of color, but he just has made fucked up decisions. Drones, many wars.
Yeah.
Among other things. I mean, so it's like free trade agreements. I mean,
so many. The
list goes on.
One wise thing that our former president, G.W. Bush, said.
Already.
Yeah. The soft bigotry of low expectations. And
is that what he said?
That's what he said. I don't know if he was speaking about himself, but I believe it was in reference to No Child Left Behind. It's another topic, another day. But I really feel like that's what President Obama faced. People were just like, oh, you are brown, you are Martin Luther King Jr., let us give you a Nobel Peace Prize. Side note, Malala, am I a hater? But I just don't really feel like she should get a Nobel Peace Prize.
Why was it to you?
I just feel like maybe just this was the right time for her, because you have Putin and Ukraine, you got Obama sending drones, you got Angela Merkel like not really feeling the EU. I just feel like there are a lot of people that face tremendous things as a child that don't get books and don't get Beyonce Tumblr things. And so she, as a 13 or 14-year-old, getting these things and us saying like, oh, she stood up to the Taliban and whatever, and she did get shot. I just feel like there are kids in Chicago who have similar circumstances that don't have the same kind of like...
But who's the perpetrator? Because her winning supports our narrative, right?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. On to who's the perpetrator. So Giuliani, did you see his exchange with Michael Eric Dyson?
No.
They had some exchange on MSNBC, one of the Sunday talk shows. And Giuliani was arguing that white police officers wouldn't be in black neighborhoods if you weren't killing each other, and it's talking to Michael Eric Dyson. And Michael Eric Dyson expectedly engaged him in an argument on television. And I just felt like, thank you for your honesty, Giuliani. We appreciate the reminder that this is how you formulated police policy in the city of New York. Pause for the cause. Some sirens happening. Emergency. So he was throwing out some facts about perpetrators of crimes. He said 98% of black people are killed by other black people, or some kind of like crime, black on black crime statistic. And I immediately was just like, but white people kill other white people too.
What was the white on white crime?
I mean, nobody knows perpetrators.
Right.
I'm just like, you kill the people that live next door to you. If you live in a community with someone, that's whose store you're going to burn down, that's who you're going to rob, that's who you're going to get in a fight with. They stepped on your Pumas, you're going to shoot them, whether you're white or you're black. And so back to Malala and these perpetrators, I feel like we love having an other. Even in these race conversations, I feel like there's always the other. And yeah, maybe that's why Malala was able to win, because it was like an other that we're comfortable calling out. And in some ways, my community, black people, are not ready to like call out the places where we've fallen short, whether it's Obama or whether it's like the kid that's just disrespectful next door. I don't know. We like calling out the others too. We like being like, it's the police. It's white people. It's someone other than the like knucklehead that I'm raising that may be disrespectful. And somehow we have to like hold each other accountable, and not in the way of this like respectability politics that's been happening about like your ability to speak English well, or pull up your pants, or go to college, or whatever it is, whatever standard people want to make, but just in a way in which you lovingly are engaged in people's lives, not just once they're dead.
No, I'm here for that. Because if we all, whatever identities, just hold each other accountable, I feel like the other, like, painful things that we inflict, I mean, when I think about white folks, if white folks just could hold other white people accountable for things, a lot of things would shift. Speaking of, just on a side note, did you see Giuliani's daughter was caught shoplifting?
I did not see that. So I don't like that.
Right, it was white on white probably. I'm really interested to see how this shakes out. But in the age of fake news, I'm going to have to source check it.
Yeah.
It's probably from news.com or something. I don't know.
So let's address the fake news that I had to correct on Facebook. So DeAndre Joshua, some kid that lived in or near where Mike Brown was shot, murdered, or Mike Brown was murdered, was also murdered. This kid was shot, and his body was found burned in a car, I believe. And Facebook has been telling me that he was a victim of retaliation because he, corroborated Darren Wilson's story, and people were mad about it until they killed him. However, many other sources also on the internet, more reputable than the conservative blog that originally came from, but was reposted by Huffington Post in some way, say that no, this kid was not a witness. His name is not mentioned in these like case files or anything. He was friends with someone, Darian Johnson or something, who was a person that was with Mike Brown when Mike Brown was killed. But like they're Twitter friends. They're not
peers, but
they were not witnesses together.
Yeah.
So I just feel like let's really stop and just click a few more clicks before reporting back to the community, because unfortunately what it showed me was that I get a lot of news from Facebook. I like read and click through a lot of things on Facebook, and then I try and click again to find the original source, but many other people do not do that. They just repost it. And that's not.
That's what. Okay. Okay. Agree.
Okay.
Yes. Why the fake dead news? Why are we living in the news of so many fake celebrity deaths? Yeah. Because it's like every other week I'm mourning and find out, that was also fake.
Who died this week?
Macaulay Culkin died last week, and I don't even know him as an adult, but Home Alone. Soft spot in my
That
heart.
Jesus Camp movie. He was in that.
Yeah, but that was like in 2006. Anyways, I googled it and it said it's a hoax.
The last celebrity I knew that died was Trinidad James. They made him commit suicide, but he's actually still alive. He's still alive.
Someone told me that Oprah had cancer and had 6 weeks to live last week, and I was like, googled it, also a hoax. And I'm like, what the? I just don't know. Like, is someone getting paid off ad revenue from driving us to these fake websites or something? Like,
Kim Kardashian, probably.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think we are pretty much done for the evening.
Let's talk about Thanksgiving and let's talk about that other one.
Great.
We have some note cards that we're referring to. So Thanksgiving, I feel like, yeah, this is such a creative way of, like, I guess radically talking about Thanksgiving. And I saw this, maybe on Color Lines or Rachelicious, one of those blogs. They were talking about the people of the Dakota, and somebody else's lands, like their ancestral lands. They're raising money to save the last little piece of it, and that the land was supposed to be given to them via treaty. And so, like, in elementary school, I remember reading about how many times we broke treaties and Andrew Jackson and Trail of Tears and all that other stuff. But the fact that it's 2014 and we still can't honor the damn treaty, it's just beyond belief. In like no man's land, North Dakota, but it probably has oil or something now. I mean, it's just so crazy to me. And because so many people just feel like all indigenous people are dead in this country, it's just like, they're dead. They're not dead.
Yeah. No, we're really sick. I'm really grateful for like what I perceive to be some increased national conversation about the history of Thanksgiving. And I know that I was looking at something about the National Day of Mourning, which is what the communities in Massachusetts call it, and they've been observing that since 1970.
Wow.
Which is like the day of resistance to the experiences of people throughout New England with Pilgrim folks and with the narrative of this like peaceful, jolly meal that happened, I guess. But I do wonder what it will take, because I feel like the narrative of Pilgrims and indigenous people in the United States is like one of the cornerstones of people's understanding of U.S. history. And if we like were taught something different, I feel like it would begin to unravel other things, because it's like, oh, if that's a lie, oh, nothing that we know to be true can be, is necessarily true. So I think that's like one of those like powerful, very specific days where we have to continue to push each other to ask questions. Because like you're saying, it's 2014 and the treaties still being violated. And
yeah, it's just, I mean, we live in a city, which we can segue into our next topic, but we live in a city where the national football, or the city's football team in the National Football League is still really ugly.
Yeah.
And the person that owns the team just refuses to change it. And I don't know how that can be different, or how much shaming, public shaming can happen to him. Also in the National Football League, Ray Rice can play again. So I guess that business just has a lot of character flaws. Moving back into DC, we lost a hero.
We did. Mayor Marion Barry, 4 terms.
Yeah, for life.
Transformed the city, jobs for thousands of people.
So he came here and started a SNCC chapter, I believe.
Yeah.
And that does not get included in people talking about him, or that he helped get home rule for the city, and lots of jobs for people, and him smoking crack, which a ton of people did. A lot of people were smoking cocaine in the city in that era.
Famous elected officials.
Lots of people, like your auntie and my auntie and everybody's cousin and mama, and a lot of people were somehow involved in cocaine because it was everywhere. That's the only thing that people talk about, and that's really sad.
It is. Yeah. No, he transformed the city, and I think I'm grateful. People that are public advocates still today have been trying to like push back against that narrative, but it's like so pervasive in like national media. People don't have that nuanced conversation about who he was. But he like transformed the city, and like still as a councilman, was still asking questions and like still advocating for affordable housing and still
looking out for elders. Yeah, he was doing a lot of stuff, and it's really sad that the 90s, I mean, just go and look at those people in shoulder pads and like ugly polyester, the neon. They're all on drugs. Everybody's on drugs in the late 80s and the 90s. Come on. Every city in America. If you look at New York City, look at how dirty and gross and disgusting it was. I mean, everyone was involved in that in some way. So the fact, I mean, it's more appalling to me that like Rob Ford was about to get reelected in 2014 with high approval ratings.
Yeah.
NPR did a really good job, or WMU, our local NPR, did a really good job of like kind of talking about his whole career and not just the ugly parts that are sensationalized. So I was excited about that. But I really feel like that's the nail in the coffin for DC being Chocolate City. I felt like Chuck Brown was one of the pillars of that, and Marion Barry was the other one. And so now, for Anacostia, will have a target soon.
Well, I'm just gonna put all my eggs in all the people organizing to stop those things, but
I have very little faith that DC, I feel like DC is going to be exclusively for rich people. Maybe brown rich people too, or rich people. Trump Towers, I think, opens next year.
Yep, walk past that.
Yeah.
Yep, 1300 Pennsylvania.
Starting at 1 million, you know, cool one though.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, such an unhappy note to end on, but
well,
yeah, I guess it is. Thanks for watching.
Yes, thank you so much. And please join us again at some point when we return to the internet. Find us at Maximize Good on Facebook, Twitter, and MaximizeGood.org.
Yep, bye.
Oh, hey girl, hey girl. Oh, hey girl, hey girl, hey. Oh, hey.